करारविन्देन पदारविन्दम् मुखारविन्दे विनिवेशयन्तम् वटस्य पत्रस्य पुटेशयानम् बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्मंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear devotees, we'll have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that we'll continue with this discussion on the Shreemad Bhagwad Gita. Join with me, repeating the lines, Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
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 Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe.
Govinda Radhe.
Govinda Radhe.
Govinda Radhe.
Govinda Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Govinda 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 Govinda Radhe.
Bolo Shyama Shyam Ki. Yesterday we left off partway through the second chapter where Shri Krishna has already explained to Arjun about Sankhya philosophy, that you are not the body, you are the soul, and soul can never die, and body is bound to die. And he's also explained about karma, that you're rewarded for good karma and you're punished for bad karma. The reward may include going to Swarg, and the punishment may include going to Narak. He was telling this to give an incentive to Arjun to fight the war. However, Arjun was still not motivated to get up and fight because he was thinking, I've already enjoyed the pleasures of this world. I know that there's no perfect happiness in Swarg either because that's only a material place. Obviously, I don't want to go to Narak, but going to Swarg does not appeal to me either. So he's still not convinced that he's going to fight the war. So then Shri Krishna explains Karma Yoga. This is where we left off yesterday. That Karma Yoga means performing good actions without attachment in the world. Performing good actions without hope of finding happiness from that action or without hope of getting any kind of reward from that good action. In this way, if someone can perform good actions without attachment, then buddhiyukto jahatiha ubhe sukriti dushkrite tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Shri Krishna says the one who can do this, Karma Yoga, that person goes beyond good and bad actions. This is a fundamental point of Hindu philosophy, a fundamental point of Gita philosophy, which is understood by very few people. That you have to transcend not only bad, but good. Because good actions are also binding. If you perform a good action, you have to be reborn to get the consequences. However, if you perform the same good action with no attachment, then it's not binding. That is called karma yoga. If you ask the average person, what is karma yoga? 99.9% of people will say performing good actions, doing good karma is karma yoga. Is that the definition of the Gita? Absolutely not. Good karma takes you to Swarg, keeps you bound under Maya, and results in your rebirth. That is simply karma. It is not karma yoga. Karma yoga is doing the same good action without your mind attached in that action. How is this possible? Prayojana manuddishya mandopi na pravartate. Darshan Shastra says, nobody performs any action without having a goal in mind. Yet it would seem that to be a karma yogi, we would have to be like a blank slate. No goal in mind, no desire for anything whatsoever. But then if you don't have a goal, why would you perform any action? You have a goal first, then based on that, you act. Yet Shri Krishna is saying, have no attachment in the outcome of your actions. How is this possible? It is possible, but you have to understand the science of desire. We are all desiring happiness. And because we desire happiness, we perform actions. That's the simple logic. In fact, that's the goal behind everyone's actions. Although people have various goals in mind, but all of those various goals are only for one thing, to find happiness, no matter what they're doing. Going to school, trying to get ahead in the world, getting married, having kids, whatever it may be, the reason for what we're doing always comes back to looking for happiness. So, happiness, or the desire for happiness, motivates all of our actions. Even the performance of good actions is motivated by the desire to be happy. Someone may think, if I do this good action, I'll be rewarded in my next life, I'll get a better destiny, so I'll have more prosperity. See, you're attached in the world. You have a desire for worldly happiness, and because of that, you're performing good actions. Or you may think, if I do these good actions, people will like me, and that will make me happy. See, we're attached in the world, and that's the reason for our good actions, is because of our attachment. Or we may think, I'll perform good actions and get to go to Swarg. I won't tell anyone about my good actions. I'll do a lot of charity anonymously, and because of that, I'll get to enjoy over there in Swarg. We have some desire for happiness that motivates our good actions. Otherwise, why would we do good? Or you may simply say, doing good makes me feel good. I feel happy when I help someone else. That's a fact. Who doesn't feel happy when they help someone else? See, happiness is still there. We help someone because we feel happy helping them. If we felt miserable helping someone else, would we still do it? No. Even you may say, oh, but people make sacrifices. Yes, but they make them happily, because making a personal sacrifice to help someone else makes you feel happy. So we're still motivated by happiness. In other words, we have that worldly attachment. Our goal, Our ultimate goal is to find happiness from the world, and that's motivating our actions. That type of good action is not considered karma yoga. That is just good karma. There's a reward for it, but it's also binding. Arjun wanted to go beyond this. He didn't want to be bound in this cycle of birth and death. So he had to understand karma yoga. How would it be possible to perform the same good actions without a desire to get happiness from those actions? We have to understand that it's not possible to give up the desire for happiness. If you could, then you could do lots of karma yoga. I don't care for happiness. I don't care for myself. I may be happy. I may be miserable. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to do good actions in the world. But nobody's like this. We all have a desire for happiness. And since the world is there in front of us, we see the world, we can experience it, so we try to get happiness by experiencing the world. I explained, however, in the last 2 days that the world is not the source of real happiness. Desiring happiness is natural. It's common to everybody. However, it is not a feature of this world that it contains perfect happiness. It only contains temporary happiness. And that too, even while you're enjoying it, it's very limited. It doesn't give you a feeling of total satisfaction, total bliss. You just get a limited feeling of happiness for a limited time, and then it ends. That's worldly happiness. We're looking for happiness, but in the wrong place. In fact, the very reason that we desire happiness is because we're related to God. He is divine and we're a part of Him. We belong to Him. And He is perfect happiness. Thus, only by attaining Him can we get perfect happiness. And our initial desire to be happy is because of our eternal relationship with God. Our soul desires God. We're called ansh of God. Ansh means a part of. So every ansh is attracted to his anshi. Anshi meaning the one to whom you belong. Like if this were a clump of dirt, it belongs to the earth, right? The earth is its anshi, this is the ansh. They're separated. However, they're only separated because I'm holding it separate. If I simply release it, see what happened? The earth pulled it. There's a natural attraction between ansh and anshi. Or you can say, every ansh loves his anshi. So we are ansh of God, thus we naturally desire God. And since God is perfect happiness, you can say, we naturally desire perfect happiness. This is why nobody can stop desiring happiness, because it's inborn. It's the nature of our soul. It can't be changed. It's our swabhav. So we all desire to be happy, perfectly happy. Yet, we look in the wrong place for that happiness. Because we've never seen God, He's paroksh for us. He's beyond our perception currently. And the world is right in front of us. We can get immediate gratification from this world, whereas from God, it's more long-term. We think, okay, I have to follow the path to God. When I reach Him, I'll get perfect happiness. Actually, you get happiness along the way as well, a growing inner feeling of happiness and contentment that exceeds what we experience in the world. Nonetheless, all the objects of the world are right there in front of us. So we keep trying repeatedly to enjoy them, to find happiness. How to do karma yoga then? We simply have to change the field of our search for happiness. Start desiring happiness from God realization. When I say desiring happiness from God, it doesn't mean God give me this, God give me that. See, we're asking God for the world again. So we're not even desiring God. We're actually desiring the world from God. But our desire is still for the world. Even if God were to fulfill our worldly desires, we still wouldn't be happy. So what's the use of asking Him for that? We have to change the field of our desire and start desiring God. Then you didn't give up your desire for happiness, you kept it. And you transferred it to the place where it can really be fulfilled. In this world, it's never been fulfilled. We've tried over and over again to fulfill that longing for perfection from worldly pleasures. And we've failed again and again. So we have to change the field of our search and start desiring happiness from God. If you're desiring happiness from God and you're striving to experience God, and at the same time you're living in the world, doing good actions, but without this hope that by doing this good action I'll get happiness, then you can do karma yoga. Then you are doing karma yoga. That means your mind is attached to God, but you're physically performing good actions in the world without the expectation of getting happiness from them. That is how you perform an action to the best of your ability, but without the attachment to whether, if it doesn't work out, you're not crushed. And if it does happen the way you wanted it to, you don't feel proud, you don't get agitated, even happiness, the experience of what we call happiness in this world agitates our mind. It's not a feeling of peacefulness. That's karma yoga, having our mind in God, but performing all the good actions in the world. Such good actions are non-binding because you did it without the expectation of getting happiness from the world, thus you did it without worldly attachment. What that means is that we bind ourselves with our own attachment. Dhyayato vishayan punsah sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamah kamat krodho bhijayate. We're the ones creating our own bondage. First, dhyayatah. Because we're desiring happiness and we see some object or some person in the world, then we start thinking, that person could make me happy. If I get this thing, that will make me happy. Krishna calls that dhyayatah. You're meditating on that thing. You're meditating on the object of your desire. You don't think of it as meditation because it comes so naturally and you think meditation is supposed to be difficult. But you're actually meditating on the objects of your desire. Oh, if I get that thing, I'll be so happy. If I get my new Mercedes, I've been driving a Toyota Corolla for 10 years. It's getting so old. I saved up so much money now. I'm going to buy a Mercedes. You just keep thinking about that Mercedes. What's happening while you do that? You're developing attachment to that inanimate object. You also do the same thing with people. Oh, if this person marries me, I'll be so happy. If this person likes me or comes close to me, that will give me so much happiness. Why? Well, because they're beautiful. They have this quality. They have that quality. They talk so nicely. I like this thing about them. What are you doing? You're meditating on that person. And in the process, you're creating an attachment to them. It's also called chintan, repeated thinking about someone. Smaran, deep remembering of that person. You picture them in your mind and over think positive thoughts about them. And in this way, with each of those thoughts, you're creating or you're adding to your attachment to that person or that thing. Why did you get attached? Because you decided that there's happiness in this person and I'm going to get it. Or there's happiness in that Mercedes, and when I get the Mercedes, I'll get happiness. There's happiness in owning my own house, and when I get it, I'll be happy. Little do you know that once you get the house, you start thinking, oh, I was better off when I was in an apartment, and when a pipe burst, I just called the landlord. It wasn't my headache, it was his headache. Now I have to mow my own lawn, I have to repair my own roof. Anything that happens, it's on me. I was better off in my apartment. Oh, but the house is a nice status symbol. So we stay with the house, even though it's a bigger headache. We believe there's happiness in these objects, even when they continue to give us unhappiness. Yet, because of our attachment to them, we develop that attachment through repeated thinking, and now the attachment's there. So the desire to repeatedly enjoy those things keeps coming back in the mind because the attachment is already there now. Then we desire to enjoy it, we try to get it, we do enjoy it. Then what happens? Gita says, lobh. You get the desire to enjoy it again. So let's say you do enjoy it again. Then what happens? More lobh, greed. You want more and more and more and more. It's a cycle of desire. It never ends. Please raise your hand if you've ever, think of something you really like. Could be food, could be a person, could be the way a certain person loves you or gives you affection, could be some attainment you've gotten, something that you really enjoy in this world. Has there ever been a time where you felt like that's enough? This person loves me enough. I don't have a desire for them to love me even more. Has that ever happened? Have you ever eaten your favorite food? Now, I know it's possible to get full of it at that time, like you feel full, you've had enough. But have you ever eaten your favorite food and never desired to eat it again because you were so satisfied? Have you ever enjoyed anything and then not had the desire for that thing come back again later that day or the next week? It always happens. You enjoy it, you feel satisfied, but the satisfaction doesn't last. The desire to enjoy it again comes back. That's called lobh, greed. What we have is not enough. We want it again, or we want more of it. So desire begets desire. We enjoy something, that's not the end of it. Then we want it again. So in this way, our desire goes on multiplying, and so does our attachment. Even though we're confused deep inside that why do I keep desiring this thing? And I get happiness, but it's not enough happiness, and then I have to desire it again. Why is that? We're confused in our mind about that, but that doesn't stop us from trying to enjoy it again and again and again. There's no end to that. Girir mahan girer abdhir mahan abdher nabho mahat nabhasopi param brahma tatopyasha duratyaya. A mountain is great, but greater than a mountain is the ocean. Greater than the ocean is the sky, and greater than the sky is God, because all of that exists within Him. However, there's something greater than God. Did you know? Worldly desire. Because God, although He's unlimited, He's attainable. You can actually attain Him, albeit through His grace, but you can attain Him and experience Him. However, no one has ever been able to satisfy a worldly desire to the point of total satisfaction and completeness. So, worldly desire is greater than God, because you can get God, but you can never fully satisfy a worldly desire. The desire just goes on growing, like a monster. jas jas surasa badan badhava, ta sudugun kapirup dikhava. When Hanumanji was jumping across to go to Lanka, Surasa rose out of the ocean to test him. She tried to swallow him. So Hanumanji made himself twice as big so that she couldn't swallow him. So she made her mouth again twice as big and tried to swallow Hanumanji. He again doubled the size of his body. So she doubled the size of her mouth, and it went on and on and on until finally Hanumanji won. This is like worldly desires. You have a desire this big, okay, so you get that much stuff, whatever it may be. You enjoy it. You satisfy your desire momentarily. What happens? It doubles in size and comes back. Then, again, you become pareshan. You're harassed by these desires. They don't leave you alone, ever. Until you go into deep sleep, where you're not even dreaming. Then you get a break from your desires. As soon as you wake up in the morning, the desires start hitting you again. Oh, today I want this. Today I want that. It's all for happiness, so it's natural, but it's all in the field of worldly desires because that's where we've believed that happiness exists since eternity. So we have to change that belief if we are to become karma yogis. This is the point I'm making. If you want to do karma yoga, you have to make this decision. There is no happiness in Maya. Happiness is in God. Can you make that decision? I don't know. But if you cannot, then you cannot do karma yoga. You can do karma. You can do good karma. But you cannot attain God because you're not even desiring God. You believe there's happiness in the world. What do you need God for? Or if you turn to God, it's only to ask Him for the world. So you can't attain God. Good action does not lead to the attainment of God. It leads to swarg at best. But becoming a karma yogi leads to the attainment of God because the karma yogi actually attaches his mind to God, thus bypassing the field of good and bad actions, yet performing good actions physically, but he doesn't receive any consequence of that. Thus, he's not bound by it. So this is what Shri Krishna explained to Arjun. This is how you should fight the war. Fight the war without fighting the war. Meaning, do the good action of performing your duty, but without any attachment to your own personal gain or your own personal happiness that you'll get from it. Instead, have your mind attached to me, because I am bliss, I am happiness. Then you will not receive any binding effect from your actions. Thus, it will be like you never fought the war. You fought the war without fighting the war because you're not going to get any consequence from those actions. Why? Because you're not attached in them. Your mind is attached in God. We get the consequence of our attachments, not of our physical actions. If you can do that, Arjun, you will attain perfect happiness. You will become sthita pragya, which means one who has his mind established in perfect knowledge and established in God all the time. So Arjun says, what is that sthita pragya person like? The one who has attained God, meaning a saint, whose mind is always in God, he says, what is he like? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he sit? These are Arjun's actual words. But Shri Krishna didn't answer about the external part. There's another place later in the Gita where Arjun also asks a similar question. He's looking for some kind of physical characteristics or behavioral characteristics through which a saint can be identified. But there are no such characteristics. So Shri Krishna doesn't describe the sthita pragya person physically at all. He describes his inner mental state. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyevatmana tushta sthita pragyastadochyate. The one who has eliminated all of his desires and is self-contented, that individual is called sthita pragya. Such a person has no anger, no desire, no attachment, no jealousy, no greed, no hate. Now this is our goal, obviously. None of us are like this. We all have these faults to some degree, and we will always have them up until the moment of God realization. Shri Krishna is describing a God-realized soul here, and he's describing their inner state. Because they've attained God, they've attained perfect happiness, so they're totally satisfied. They have no desires left. Now they're busy enjoying that happiness all the time, 24 hours a day. They have no need to look for any more happiness, so they are Atmaram. They're totally satisfied from within. So there's no reason for anger or jealousy. Why do we get angry? It was explained in a previous verse that I quoted that when you have a desire and that desire is denied, you are denied that thing that you want, then anger comes. So when you have everything you want, you have perfect happiness from within, how could there ever be a reason to be angry? The reason for anger is finished forever. Reason for jealousy, gone. Reason for greed, gone. All of that is finished forever. Thus, Shri Krishna says, Ragadvesha viyuktaistu. Rag and Dvesh both have to be transcended. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaishcharan. If you can transcend both rag and dvesh, then you can still live in the world. Vishayan indriyaishcharan. Your indriya, your senses and your body is still involved in the world. But you have no desire to enjoy worldly things, and you have no aversion from worldly things either. You're neutral, totally neutral. Rag means desire or love in a positive way. And dvesh means aversion, animosity, hatred. Both are two sides of the same coin. Both are attachment. Did you know that the one that you hate is in your mind as much as the one you love? Because you're attached to both of them. You're just attached to the one that you dislike with negative feelings, whereas you're attached to the one that you like with positive feelings. But both have to be transcended, rag and dvesh. Because both are attachments. So the one who can transcend rag and dvesh can continue to live in the world, yet is unaffected by what happens in the world, and prasada madhigacchati. He attains God's grace, he attains divine bliss. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumanscharati nispriha nirmamo nirahankara sashanti madhigacchati. Again, the same thing. The one who can renounce all of his worldly desires, yet still keep on living in this world without attachment, without mamata, feeling of this is mine, without ahankar, that person attains divine peace. So it seems like Shri Krishna is telling us we have to be without desire. If you can be without desire, then you can do karma yoga, then you can attain him. See, he's not saying leave the world, is he? He keeps saying, Vishayan indriyaishcharan. You can stay in the world. However, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Here he makes it clear that he's not talking about physical renunciation. So you can take a deep breath. The Gita is not about physical renunciation. You don't have to give up your Mercedes or your bank account or your big house. It's a fact that there's no happiness in those things, but you still don't have to give them up. You need something, right? You have to live in this world. You need something to drive around. You need some kind of a roof over your head. You need money. Here in this verse, Shri Krishna is saying, if you were to physically renounce everything and deny yourself all of these things, yet your mind keeps wanting to indulge in it, on the inside you're thinking about all the things that you physically renounced, then he says, you haven't gotten any further ahead. If you try to physically just give up everything, your mind is just going to keep dwelling on those things that you made yourself give up. It's not possible to forcefully renounce anything because your mind will not renounce it. You can renounce it physically, but what have you gained from that? You didn't gain anything because your mind is still attached to that thing. Just because you're not physically with it doesn't mean you're not thinking about it, right? So if you're thinking about it, you're still multiplying your attachment to that thing. And the whole philosophy of Gita is to remove or reduce the attachments. So it's almost like you're going backwards. He says, param drishtva nivartate. Only when you get the divine vision of God, param, God, drishtva, when you see him, then nivartate, then all your desires stop. Until then, you will always have desires. You will always have attachments. So, which is it? Are we meant to give up our attachments and desires, or are we meant to keep them? Well, we know to do karma yoga, we have to get rid of them. But there's a nuance to this. You give up without giving up anything. What does that mean? It means change the field of your desire. That's it. Instead of feeling like, oh, I'm giving something up, just educate your mind. That mind, you want happiness, that's a good thing. Everybody wants happiness. It's our nature. But you know happiness is not in this world. Happiness is in God. So why don't you desire God instead of the world? That's it. Just reason with your mind. Get the mind to start desiring God. Keep all 5 of your desires. Desire to see, smell, taste, touch, and hear something that will make you happy. Keep all of those desires. Just transfer them to God. I wish to see Shri Krishna. When I see him, his divine beauty will be so blissful. I wish to hear his voice or his flute. I wish to smell the fragrance of his banmala that he's wearing. I wish to see his beautiful decorations, his bluish complexion. I wish to see the way he would look at me, the way he would smile. I wish to feel his hand on my shoulder. literally the touch of God, Brahma Sparsh. What would that be like? If a loving touch from a person in this world is so comforting, what would it be like if Shri Krishna simply put his hand on my head or on my shoulder? How would that feel? These are the desires we have, are they not? And these are the desires our minds do not want to give up. So instead of trying to wrestle those desires from your mind, let the mind keep the desires. Just transfer all of those desires to Krishna. Then you get a double benefit. You've reduced your worldly desires because you're transferring them to God. And benefit number 2, you're actually getting your desires fulfilled. Because when you meditate on God in this way, you actually receive inner contentment to whatever extent you're able to really attach your mind to Him. This is a meditation. Imagine taking your 5 kinds of desires and using them to desire Krishna is a meditation. Just like we meditate on worldly people and things, and that multiplies our attachment to them, we meditate on Shri Krishna with our 5 senses, with our 5 kinds of desires. That causes our mind to get attached to Him, and that actually purifies our mind. Whereas getting the mind attached in the world adds more impurity and multiplies our bondage. When we attach our mind to Shri Krishna, it releases the bondage and purifies the mind. Vishaya vinivartante Vishayan dhyayataschittam Vishaya vishayeshu vishajjate Mamanusmarataschittam Mayyeva praviliyate. Bhagavatam. Here Shri Krishna is explaining to another devotee of his, Uddhav, this very thing that I told you. That loving remembrance of worldly pleasures and the objects and people of the world multiplies our attachment to the world and multiplies our bondage. And loving remembrance of Him, of Krishna, releases the worldly bondage and results in God realization. So this is what we have to do. Educate our mind by repeatedly thinking about the fact that God is happiness, not the world. It's our own experience. We don't have to go far to realize we experience that every day. We just never knew that we could have an option. We thought, oh, this world is so dissatisfying. Let me again try to find satisfaction in the world. We never realized, no, there's a whole other option. You can keep your desires and you can actually get those loving desires satisfied through Shri Krishna because He is your best friend. He is your divine father. Radharani is your divine mother. He is your very own. We never knew that. That's why we just kept trying in the world. So now we have to condition our mind to go towards Krishna. It takes repeated thinking. So he says, Tani sarvani sanyamya ya aste yukta asita mat parah. He says, sit, bring your mind in from all of its worldly busyness, control it, and then use it to think of Him. Mat parah. Keep attaching your mind to Him through such affectionate thoughts that, oh, when will I meet you? You are mine. Using all 5 of your senses to visualize Him, try to see Him, try to hear His closeness, try to smell. You can use all of that in your meditation. He actually instructs us to do this. He says, stop your activities, sit, asita, and mat para. Think of Him in that way. This is the only way we will get our mind to become attached to Him, and only to the extent that our mind becomes attached to Him do we have the ability to perform karma yoga. If our mind is not attached in Him, it's definitely attached in the world. We only have one mind, and the mind is always desiring happiness. So if we haven't diverted it towards God, then it's definitely seeking happiness in the world. Then we can't do Karma Yoga. So I know this is new to you. Up until now, you've been thinking Karma Yoga meant just not telling lies and doing your duty, be a good person in the world. Bas Karma Yoga ho gaya, and I'll go to God. And Gita is now saying, nope, that's wrong. You have to change everything, Gita is saying. Not physically. Gita is saying, this in here, your understanding has to be changed. Up until now, you've been living in the belief that you will find happiness from this world. Now you have to start living in the belief that happiness is not in this world. Happiness is in God. That's up to you. If you want to become a karma yogi, you have to do that. But we have lots of help. Shri Krishna has left behind his form, his names, his leelas, his gunas, his qualities. We can meditate. We can use all of these to attach our mind to and thus purify our mind. So we're not alone, yet the work still has to be done by us. He's given us the material to use. We have to do the work. Then if we do that, we find a gentle, gradual transition where our mind gets more attached to Shri Krishna. Our worldly attachments correspondingly reduce simply by changing our thinking and taking some time out every day to do what he says, asita. You sit, ceasing all other worldly activities and just try to meditate on him. And throughout the rest of the day, you keep this philosophy in mind as much as possible. Just these few basic points that we've learned so far. You're not the body, you're the soul. Soul belongs to God, not to this world. Worldly happiness cannot satisfy you because you're not a material being. You're a divine being. So only God's happiness can satisfy you. God is perfect happiness, and he's mine since forever. Just these few basic points, keep thinking about it. Have faith in his grace and kindness, that if you do attach your mind to him, he will grace you and you will experience it. You will experience it in your heart. And have faith that when you are fully attached to him, he will come to you and you will become God realized. This is what Gita is teaching us. So you see, to really imbibe the teachings of Gita requires us to change our thinking. We have to, instead of going through life swept away by the tide or the tsunami of all the little things in our life that need doing every day, and in that way our life just goes by. Instead of living life like that, we have to realize life is for God realization. And I can become God realized. Shri Krishna gave me this human birth for that reason. If I don't become God realized in this life, or at least make a concerted effort to do so, who knows where I'll be born in my next life? These things have to stay in our mind throughout the day, which up until now they haven't. So it requires change. You might have thought you could learn Gita and stay the same and feel like, okay, now I know Gita. That was fun. That was nice. I really enjoy learning Gita. But I'm making it very difficult for you. I'm saying, no, you have to actually change. You have to change your thinking. Only that, then it means you've received knowledge of Gita and you've applied it in your life. Then you can reap the benefit. That change happens slowly, but it requires our attention and our effort. And if we do so, we get a tremendous benefit. We get the benefit of having our heart purified, and we get the benefit of experiencing Krishna's closeness in our life. So we have to give importance to God realization. We have to consider that someone we've never seen, meaning God, is our actual true relation, our true family member, someone that we've never fully experienced, is actually our ultimate goal. That happiness we seek is in Him. This all requires faith. So we have to have faith in Gita. We have to have faith in Shri Krishna. We have to have faith in all the thousands of saints who have come in our history, who have corroborated the teachings of Gita, who have said, yes, this is true, I've experienced it for myself. Then we will have the courage to follow what is told in the Gita as well. So from here we'll go further ahead tomorrow in the 3rd chapter, where Arjun is still not ready to get up and fight, where he says, "Oh Krishna, you say that understanding that God is the ultimate goal is much better than just performing good karma in the world. So if that is the case, why are you still urging me to fight this war? Why can't I," in other words, what he's suggesting is, why can't I just go to the jungle and attach my mind to you? That's what you're saying, right? I should attach my mind to you. And if I can do that fighting the war or going and taking sannyas and being in some nice isolated place, then why don't you just let me go? Why do I have to stay and fight this war? So how Shri Krishna answers that, you can hear tomorrow. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki. So we'll do a few minutes of kirtan. We have 7-8 minutes left in tonight's satsang. So let's put into practice what he said. Tani sarvani sanyamya. Bring your mind in, become introverted. You can close your eyes. And once your eyes are closed, you're already sitting. You've done asita. Now you have to do mat paraha, which means to affectionately remember Shri Krishna as you would one of your own family members or a loved one. Picture his face. See him very close to you. You can think of any of his ornaments or decorations, or you can just look at his face. You can see his whole body, just his charan. It's up to you. Any part of him is fine. But do try to visualize him and feel an emotional connection to him. Like you're not just, this isn't just a visualization, you're seeing your divine beloved, Shri Krishna. And keep this visualization going, this meditation going, while we chant his divine name. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
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 Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
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 Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, 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 Radhe Radhe Govinda,
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 Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, 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 Radhe Radhe Govinda.
A lot of people ask, why do we say Jai Jai Shri Radhe, or we greet each other by saying Radhe Radhe, as if we here at Radha Madhav Dham had invented that or something. In fact, we're only following the tradition of Braj, the place where Shri Krishna took avatar, the place where Radharani took avatar, where they lived and did all their leelas, which are so famous, which everybody loves so much. If you go to that same place today, go to Braj, visit any of the towns or villages in Braj, go to Vrindavan, go to Govardhan, go to Barsana, go to Mathura, go to Gokul, Nandagaon. In all of these places, everybody greets each other by saying Radhe Radhe. That's it. Probably because Shri Krishna comes running when he hears Radhe's name. He loves to hear Radhe's name. It's painted on every tree. You know, on the big, huge trees that line the roads in India, every tree is painted with Radhe, Radhe. Everybody not only greets each other with Radhe, Radhe, but other things are communicated as well. Like if you're going down a narrow gully on the back of a bicycle rickshaw and it's crowded and he wants someone to move out of his way, he'll say, Radhe, Radhe. So over there in Braj, everything is Radhe Radhe. We didn't invent that. We're just following the tradition of Braj here at Barsana, at Radha Madhav Dham. Boliye Alabeli Sarkar ki, Shreemad Sadguru Sarkar ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.